There's this specific moment in parenting. It usually hits right around 6th grade. One day your kid is happily trading sandwiches with their best friend since kindergarten, and the next day, total meltdown because they were left off a group chat, or someone gave them a look in the hallway.
Oh, the infamous hallway look. It's like a completely different language we have to decode. Suddenly, the social stakes are just so impossibly high.
Exactly. It's terrifying for them, and honestly, it's terrifying for us as parents, because we just want to fix it. But fixing it is usually the exact wrong move. Welcome to the Rising Parent Podcast. Today, we are diving deep into 5 tips for helping preteens navigate friendship drama.
I'm Edna.
And I'm Tim. We are so glad you're here with us today. Just a quick reminder before we jump into the tween drama. New episodes of the Rising Parent Podcast drop every Monday and Friday, so make sure you're subscribed so you never miss out on the conversation.
And we also want to share a little bit about our heart behind this show. We created this podcast to help families thrive, but also to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach. If you want to support the cause and help us serve the underserved, you can head over to selflessoutreach.org. We've also put a link right in the show notes for you.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. All right, Edna, middle school. Just saying the words makes me break out in a cold sweat. Let's get started. It's a jungle. In all our years of coaching families, the preteen transition is always one of the most jarring. Parents come into our coaching sessions completely blindsided. They're like, what happened to my sweet kid who just wanted to play tag? The shift is wild. Over our 2 decades of doing this, from our early daycare days to all the parenting coaching sessions we do now, we've realized that effective parenting is a learned skill. And parenting a preteen through social drama, that's like advanced calculus.
It really is, because the rules of engagement change. When they're toddlers, if someone takes their toy, we guide them through sharing. But when they're 12 and navigating a toxic friendship or peer pressure, the lines are so blurry. We can't just call the other kid's mom and demand they play nice. Well, we shouldn't anyway.
Please don't do that. So let's get right into tip number 1. This is a big one, especially today. Tip 1, redefining what a good friend looks like in the digital age of group chats.
Ooh, group chats, the absolute bane of my existence as a parenting coach.
Right? It used to be that friendship drama happened at school, and then you came home, shut the front door, and you were safe. Your home was a sanctuary. Now, the drama lives in their pockets. It buzzes at 10 p.m. It's relentless.
It really is. I'm thinking of a family we worked with in one of our coaching sessions recently. Let's call the daughter Chloe. She was about 12, and her mom was just in tears during our call because Chloe was completely spiraling. She had been intentionally left out of a Snapchat group by her so-called best friends.
Oh, the secondary group chat, the one they make specifically without one person. It's so cruel.
Yes, exactly. And Chloe was just obsessively checking her phone, seeing them all hanging out on the Snap map, where you can see everyone's location.
That feature is a nightmare for tween anxiety.
A total nightmare. And the mom was asking me, how do I make her see that these girls are being awful? But the thing is, at that age, Chloe didn't care that they were being awful. She just wanted to be in. So what we worked on with this family was stepping back and redefining friendship, not by telling Chloe who she couldn't hang out with, but by asking her curious questions.
Yeah, the communication piece is so vital here. If you just say, those girls are toxic, block them, the preteen will instantly defend them. They'll dig their heels in.
Exactly. Instead, the mom started asking things like, how does your body feel when you see a notification from that group chat? Do you feel relaxed or do you feel a knot in your stomach? We had to help Chloe define friendship, not by status, but by safety. A good friend in the digital age is someone who doesn't use a screen to make you feel small.
I love that. Status versus safety. Because in middle school, kids are desperately clawing for status. They're trying to figure out the hierarchy. I remember back when we were working with kids in the daycare setting, we'd see the very, very early seeds of this. You'd have the 4-year-olds deciding who gets to be in the club in the sandbox.
Yes, you can't play with us. You don't have the right shovel.
Exactly. And it's cute at 4, but at 13, the right shovel is an iPhone or a certain brand of shoes or an invite to the Discord server. And as parents, we have to proactively sit down with them, ideally before middle school even starts, and say, hey, what are the traits of a true friend? Write them down. They're supportive, they listen, they don't mock you in a text thread. Give them a rubric so they can evaluate these digital interactions themselves.
That's such a practical strategy, Tim, because if they have that rubric, they can look at a text and go, wait, a good friend doesn't send a screenshot of my private message to the whole group. You're giving them the tools to recognize toxic behavior on their own.
Right, which leads us perfectly into tip number 2, knowing exactly when a parent should intervene versus when to let the kids work it out.
Oh, the mama bear instinct, it is so hard to suppress.
It's nearly impossible. You see your kid hurting, you see them lonely, and your immediate instinct is to swoop in and rescue them. But rescuing them can actually rob them of essential conflict resolution skills.
So true. I had a coaching session with a dad. Let's call him Marcus. His son, Leo, was in 7th grade. Leo was dealing with a friend who was constantly putting him down. Just these little microaggressions, right? Like making fun of his clothes or embarrassing him in front of the girls they liked.
Classic peer pressure and boundary testing.
Yeah, and Marcus, the dad, was furious. He was ready to march down to the school, demand a meeting with the principal, and call the kids' parents. He was like, Edna, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to put an end to it. And I had to gently say, Marcus, pause. If you do that, what is Leo going to learn?
He learns that he's powerless. He learns that he needs his dad to fight his battles. And socially, in middle school, if the other kids find out his dad intervened, it could actually make the social isolation worse.
Exactly. The social blowback could be massive. So we talked about the threshold for intervention. When do we step in? We step in if there's a true safety issue, physical threats, cyberbullying that crosses into harassment, or if the child's mental health is severely declining, like signs of depression or anxiety that they can't manage.
Yes, if it's a safety issue, you intervene immediately, no questions asked. You go to the school, you pull the plug on the apps. But if it's friendship drama, mean comments, exclusion, shifting alliances, that is prime training ground for life.
It really is. So with Marcus and Leo, instead of calling the school, Marcus worked on coaching Leo. We helped Marcus script out ways Leo could stand up for himself. Marcus literally sat on the edge of Leo's bed and said, look, man, what this kid is doing isn't okay. What's one thing you could say tomorrow to shut it down without starting a fight?
Which is brilliant. It empowers the kid. And we often talk about how effective parenting is a learned skill. This is exactly what we mean. Our first instinct is to fix, but the learned skill is to facilitate. We facilitate their growth.
I love the way you put that. Facilitate, not fix.
Right, and that transitions beautifully into tip number 3, role-playing tough social scenarios and peer pressure at the dinner table.
Oh, I am such a huge fan of role-playing. It feels silly at first. Parents always tell us they feel ridiculous doing it, but it works wonders.
It feels completely awkward, but I always tell the families we work with, awkwardness at the dinner table is way better than your kid freezing up in a high-stakes social situation.
Absolutely.
I remember a family I was coaching. They had a 14-year-old boy, let's call him Sam. Sam was a really sweet kid, kind of a people pleaser, which is a dangerous trait in middle school because you become a magnet for peer pressure.
Oh yeah, the kids who want to be liked are the easiest targets.
Exactly. So Sam's parents were terrified about vaping, skipping class, all the classic middle school traps. We started implementing dinner table role play, and the key to this is keeping it low stakes and slightly humorous so they don't feel defensive. I told the parents, you play the annoying peer-pressuring kid.
That's fun. Parents love getting to act a little rebellious.
They do. So the dad would literally hold up a French fry at dinner and say, "Hey Sam, everybody sneaking out behind the bleachers to hit this vape. Come on, don't be a loser."
Oh my goodness, the cringe. I can only imagine Sam's face.
Sam rolled his eyes so hard he practically saw his own brain. But, and this is the crucial part, Sam had to physically practice saying the words out loud to reject it, because thinking about what you're going to say and actually making your vocal cords push the words out when your adrenaline is pumping are two entirely different things.
That is such a profound point, Tim. Muscle memory. It's social muscle memory.
Yes, we developed a few go-to scripts for Sam. Things like, "Nah, I'm good," or "My coach would kill me if I got caught." Blaming the parents or a coach is a fantastic out for a preteen.
The blame the parent strategy is a classic. I tell parents all the time in our sessions, be the bad guy. Tell your kids if you are ever in a sketchy situation, text me an X and I will call you immediately and pretend I'm furious and demand you come home.
Yes, it saves their social face while getting them out of a dangerous or toxic situation.
And role-playing isn't just for peer pressure with drugs or alcohol. It's for friendship drama, too. Practice what to say when a friend tries to gossip. Hey, did you hear what Sarah wore today? Practice having your kids say, I don't really care, or just changing the subject.
Neutral responses. We used to see this in the daycare all the time, obviously on a different scale. Kids would come up and say, "Johnny is a baby because he cried," and we would teach the other kids to just say, "Okay," and walk away. Don't feed the fire. It's the exact same concept in middle school. Starve the drama of oxygen.
Starve the drama. I love that. And a big part of starving the drama is how we as parents react to it, which brings us to tip number 4, normalizing social shifts and avoiding toxic labels too quickly.
Oh, this is a soapbox for me. The word toxic is thrown around so much right now.
It really is. Every disagreement is suddenly toxic. Every kid who changes their mind about who they want to sit with at lunch is a narcissist.
Yes, and we have to remember, these are 11, 12, 13-year-old brains. Their prefrontal cortex is nowhere near fully developed. They are quite literally trying on different personalities like clothes to see what fits.
I had a coaching family a few years back. The mom was so upset because her daughter's best friend since second grade suddenly started hanging out with the sporty crowd and pulling away. And the mom was saying to me, she is being so toxic, she's a mean girl. I told my daughter she needs to cut her off entirely.
Wow, yeah, that's an intense reaction.
It is, and it comes from a place of love and protection. The mom hated seeing her daughter cry over this lost friendship, but I had to gently point out, is this girl actually being malicious, or is she just changing?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right? Sometimes a preteen isn't a mean girl. Sometimes she's just a confused kid who found a new interest in volleyball and wants to talk about volleyball at lunch. And yes, it hurts the kid left behind. It hurts terribly. But labeling the other child as toxic creates a victim mentality.
Exactly. It paints the world in black and white, good guys and bad guys. But middle school is entirely gray. I tell the families I work with all the time, normalize the drift. Friendships drift. It's a natural part of human development.
Yes, normalize the drift. We need to tell our kids it is totally normal that you and Emma aren't as close this year. You guys are growing, and sometimes people grow in different directions. That doesn't make Emma evil, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
That framing takes all the sting out of it. It removes the shame, because when a tween is dropped by a friend, their immediate thought is, "What's wrong with me? I'm unlovable. I'm weird."
Always. They always internalize it.
So by normalizing it, we give them grace. We also need to be careful about vilifying the other kids, because honestly, middle school alliances shift weekly. The mean girl from October might be your kid's lab partner and new best friend in March. If you, as the parent, have spent 6 months trashing this kid at the dinner table, your tween is going to feel deeply conflicted when they make up.
Oh, that is such a good point. You trap them. They feel like they can't bring that friend back around because mom and dad hate them.
Exactly. Keep your opinions neutral. Be a sounding board, not a judge. Just listen. Say things like, "Wow, that sounds really frustrating," or "I'm so sorry that happened today. How did you handle it?" Don't jump in with, "I always knew that kid was trouble."
Even if you did always know that kid was trouble, keep it to yourself. Talk to your spouse about it, but don't dump that on your tween.
Right. So we've talked about group chats, when to intervene, role-playing, and normalizing the shift. But what happens when the shift leaves your kid completely alone?
Yeah, this is the hardest one. The heartbreak of social isolation.
It really is, which is tip number 5, building a safe harbor at home for a lonely tween.
You know, loneliness in middle school is a unique kind of pain. It's very loud. Being the kid sitting alone at the cafeteria table or wandering the library during recess, it's physically painful for them.
And as parents, we feel that pain deeply. We had a family we were coaching. Let's call the parents David and Sarah. Their son Ben had a really rough transition into 8th grade. His friend group merged with another group, and Ben just kind of got squeezed out.
The classic squeeze out.
Yeah, and David, the dad, kept asking Ben every single day right after school, "Who did you sit with today? Did you talk to anyone? Why don't you just go up to those boys and ask to play basketball?"
Oh no, the interrogation.
The interrogation. And David meant so well. He was desperate for his son to have friends. But what do you think that daily interrogation did to Ben?
It probably made him feel like a massive disappointment, like his dad was keeping a scorecard of his social failures.
Precisely. Ben started having stomach aches. He started hiding in his room the second he got home. Because home wasn't a safe harbor, home was just another place where his social status was being evaluated.
Oh, my heart just breaks for Ben, but I completely understand David's anxiety too.
Absolutely. So what we worked on with this family was transforming the home into a zero-pressure zone. We told David and Sarah, when Ben walks through the door, no questions about friends. None. Instead, focus on connection that has nothing to do with school.
I love that.
We had them start a routine. When Ben got home, David would just say, "Hey man, good to see ya. I'm making a snack. Want some?" And then maybe they'd watch a quick 20-minute episode of a funny show together. No heavy eye contact, no deep emotional probing, just side-by-side connection.
Side-by-side connection is magic for tweens and teens, especially boys in my experience. They don't want to sit across a table and bare their soul, but if you're driving in the car or playing a video game together, the walls come down.
Exactly. The goal of the safe harbor is to remind the lonely tween that they are completely loved, valued, and safe just as they are. If the whole world at middle school is telling them they don't belong, your house has to scream, "You belong here."
Yes, and a big part of that safe harbor is also helping them find their people outside of the school ecosystem.
Say more about that.
Well, if the school environment is toxic or just not a good fit, maybe your kid is super into robotics and they go to a school where sports are everything. You have to help them widen their world, get them involved in a local community theater or a martial arts class or an art studio, somewhere they can interact with kids from other schools.
That is a brilliant strategy because it shows them that middle school is not the entire universe. When you're 13, your school feels like the entire globe. If you're rejected there, you feel rejected by the world.
Exactly. But if they go to a coding club on Thursday nights and have 3 great friends there, the sting of eating lunch alone on Tuesday isn't quite as sharp. They know, hey, I have my people. They're just not in this building.
That perspective shift is life-saving for a preteen, and it's something we can actively facilitate as parents without being overbearing.
Exactly. It's about creating opportunities, not forcing friendships.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. This preteen stuff, it requires so much grace, doesn't it? Grace for our kids and grace for ourselves as we try to navigate it.
It really does. Parenting a middle schooler is not for the faint of heart, but it is also such a beautiful age. They're figuring out who they are, and when we get to be their safe harbor, it really deepens the bond we have with them.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways from today's episode.
I'll kick us off. Tip 1, redefine what a good friend looks like in the digital age. Help your tween establish a rubric for healthy friendships, status versus safety, so they can evaluate group chats and online behavior themselves.
Yes. Tip 2, know when to intervene and when to let them work it out. Facilitate, don't fix. Unless it's a true safety or mental health issue, coach them from the sidelines so they build their own conflict resolution skills.
Tip 3, role play tough social scenarios and peer pressure at the dinner table. Be the bad guy. Help them build that social muscle memory so they know exactly what to say when they're put on the spot.
Tip 4, normalize social shifts and avoid the toxic label. Remember that preteens are growing and changing. Normalize the drift and keep your own opinions neutral so your kid feels safe talking to you without judgment.
And finally, tip 5, build a safe harbor at home for a lonely tween. Drop the interrogation about their social life. Focus on zero-pressure connection and help them find communities outside of the school walls.
Fantastic summary. If you implement even just 1 or 2 of these strategies, I promise you, the middle school years will feel a lot less chaotic for both you and your tween.
Truly, they don't need perfect parents. They just need connected ones.
Well said, Edna. All right, that wraps up today's deep dive into tween friendship drama. If you found value in this conversation, we have a quick favor to ask. Please subscribe to the Rising Parent podcast on whatever app you're using right now and leave us a 5-star review. It really is the best way to help other parents find the show.
Also, a quick reminder that we release new episodes of the Rising Parent podcast every Monday and Friday. So we'll be right back here with you in just a few days.
And finally, as we mentioned at the start of the show, we created this podcast to help families, but also to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach. If you found today's episode helpful, please consider donating to Selfless Outreach. You can go to selflessoutreach.org and hit the donate button.
Yes, every single donation helps Selfless Outreach serve the underserved in our communities. We are so incredibly grateful for your support. A link to Selfless Outreach is right there in the show notes for you.
Thank you all so much for listening. Keep giving yourselves grace, keep showing up for your kids, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Rising Parent Podcast.
Bye, everyone.